Hiya, it's Myra and welcome buddies to my channel. Today we are going to learn how to make a tapestry crochet using two colors. Now tapestry crochet is a niche that is a part of crocheting, but it is one that is not commonly talked about, or a lot of people want to get started, but they don't know how. So in this tutorial, we're going to learn how to make a cool lightning bolt. And as you can see, tapestry crochet is only one-sided, meaning we are showing floats all the way through. But don't worry, I'm going to make sure I go through a step-by-step process so that you all from start to finish can make one for yourself. So grab your supplies and let's get started. All right, today we're going to work on something simple like this cute little lightning bolt using two colors. If we turn it around, you can see that there is some yarn exposed, but don't worry, these are called floats, and pretty much what it is yarn traveling from one side of the tapestry to the other. Now, this is what makes this tapestry one-sided. When learning tapestry crochet, I highly recommend starting out with two colors, so let's grab some supplies. We're going to grab our first yarn, and that's going to be for the outside, followed by our secondary yarn for the lightning bolt itself. We're going to use a 5mm hook, and we'll have some snippers. You can see here we'll use these a little bit later on in the tapestry, and then a tapestry needle to weave in our ends. We'll begin with a slip knot, and I'm again not showing this to be like a very basic tutorial because there's tons of videos on YouTube. But we will pull this loop up and then we'll begin our chain of 16. This is because this is a single crochet tapestry and you always want to do that extra chain as a turning chain, and I'll show you all what I mean at the end of this row. So we're on our last stitch right here. We're going to go ahead and do that. And then as you can see, we've just completed this stitch. What we'll go ahead and do is actually hit the back bumps in the next row. So we'll turn the chain upside down and we'll go ahead and single crochet in the second stitch from the hook. And for our first row, we are doing a full row of single crochets and we're going to do 15 of those. For those wanting a quick tutorial, what you do for single crochet is you put your hook into the stitch, which will be this back bump right here. You're going to yarn over and pull through both loops. And we'll do that for a couple more stitches here on camera, and then I will meet you guys back once we're almost done with this row. All right, so I am back and we're on our second to last stitch. Again, just single crocheting across this row. And what we're going to go ahead and do is make sure we're not missing this one. This one's a little bit tricky, but pretty much what you want to go do is you want to put the crochet hook under the middle bar and over the last one. So you'll see me try and struggle here just a little bit. Sometimes you just got to use your finger and put it through. And then we're just going to finish up this row right here. All right, so we have just completed our first row of the graph, and as you can see, everything looks smooth. One reason why I like working in the back bumps is that it's easier if you want to add fringe or if you are looking to do borders or anything like that. I just find that the bottom of my edging looks a lot smoother when I work in the back bumps. All right, so we're gonna go into my first tip with you all here, which is that I don't ever chain one when I do my tapestries. Again, as I've mentioned previously, I like things to look smooth and crisp with my tapestries, including the bottom and the sides. So I just don't do those. So we're going to go right into row 2. And what we're going to do is single crochet 15 blues across the whole row. And I will meet you at the end again. We are at the end of row 2, and what we're going to go ahead and do is finish our last 2 stitches. Make sure that we are not forgetting that last one in there. And then once we're done with that, we are done with row 2 and we're going on to row 3. Now row 3 is actually going to be our first one where we are going to actually add a new color. We will start with our 10 blue single crochets followed by 2 orange single crochets, ending with 3 single crochets that are blue, and I will meet you back at that point where we add that new color. This is the 10th stitch that we are going to work in, and what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to not finish the stitch. So we're not going to yarn over, we're going to add our new color. That way, when we pull through, we have an orange loop. So we'll go ahead and pull through both loops and finish the single crochet stitch. Now with our orange stitch, what we're going to go ahead and do is actually weave the tail into the first couple stitches. And so we'll do our first 2 of single crochets. And of course, once we go ahead and do that, again, we always want to make sure that we stop, bring it forward, because I am now done with the orange in this row. Remember, not leave it back, but bring it forward. We're going to go ahead and now pick up that blue yarn that was left behind, and we're going to finish off this row. So as you can see, sometimes when I have smaller tails, they kind of get in the way, but what we'll go ahead and do is we will go ahead and pull through both of those orange loops so that when we start our last 3, it's going to be blue. So once we do this, we'll go ahead and finish the row as normal and finish with 3 single crochets to complete row 3. All right, so this is going into row 4. You can see we have our first float as well as our tail. All right, we begin row 4 with 3 single crochets, and then we'll go right into our color swap. Of course, we want to always make sure that we don't pull through on the last stitch, right? We want to make sure we bring that yarn forward. We're going to pick up that previous yarn, and we're on the wrong side. So what I like to do is make sure I keep all of the floats on the wrong side, and I'll kind of show how I do that in my technique. But we'll go ahead and pull through the yarn, and we'll go ahead and do our 3 orange single crochets in the next couple of stitches here. If it was in Tarsha, you could go over those floats at the bottom, but we're going to go ahead and skip those and leave them out in the open. Once we have gotten to the 3rd loop, we're going to go ahead and stop and make sure we bring that yarn forward. Again, I am done with the orange in this row, so we are going to put it in the front of us. We're going to take the blue string from previously, and we're going to go ahead and yarn over and pull through both orange loops. That way we have a blue loop when we start. Now we want to make sure that we're not cinching up the project, but instead we want to make sure that it's nicely and loose so that it floats. We'll go ahead and finish up by adding our 9 single crochets to finish off the row, and I will see you all in row 5. Row 5 starts out with 8, 3, 4, so we'll begin our first 8 stitches single crocheting across the row before we color swap, and I will see you there. This is the last stitch for the 8th, so this is 8, and what we're going to go ahead and do is we need to add the orange a little bit earlier than what is specified in the pattern. So you can see it's over there 1 stitch away, but we do need to make sure that we carry the orange just a little bit. So what we're going to go ahead and do is yarn over and pull through both loops so that we begin with that orange loop. And you can kind of see where the orange is kind of floating, just a small little float along that blue stitch. But what we'll go ahead and do is we'll go ahead and insert our hook into the stitch, yarn over, and just continue that process. We'll make sure we're doing 3 orange single crochets. This is the last orange stitch in the row. So of course what we're going to go ahead and do is make sure we stop, bring the orange yarn forward, and again we're going to pick up that blue yarn and we're going to float and yarn over and pull through that loop, and then we're going to finish out the rest of this row with our 4 blue single crochets. And you can see here I tightened it just a little bit just so things are nice and snug, and we'll move on to the next row. Row 6 is a 4-4-7, so we'll go ahead and insert our hook into that first stitch and begin our single crochets. And then what we're going to go ahead and do when we get to that point is we are going to go ahead and swap. So again, this is just a simple switch. We already have both of the colors where we need them to be, so we're just going to make sure that that blue stays on the wrong side of the tapestry so we're not floating it across the right side. But we'll go ahead and pull through on that orange loop and begin our 4 single crochets for orange. I'm back on the last stitch of orange, and what we're going to go ahead and do is make sure that we again do not finish the full stitch but bring it forward, and we're going to grab the blue yarn from before, and we're going to go ahead and make sure that we yarn over, pull through both loops, and we're just going to go ahead and finish off the row with the 7 single crochets, and I will see you all in row 7. Row 7 contains 6, 4, 5, and I'm going to go ahead and start to fast forward through the single crochet part, but when we switch colors, I'll be back and I'll make sure I explain that process so everything is nice and clear for you all. Is our 6th stitch of blue, and what we're going to do is we want to make sure that we keep our floats on the wrong side of the pattern. And so I'm going to actually just drop the blue instead of bringing it forward. And what we're going to go ahead and do is pull through that orange yarn. And you can see there's a mini float, so we do have to make sure when we go into this loop here that we carry both the stitch and that small little float. And what we're going to go ahead and do is do our 4 single crochets. Last stitch of orange in this row, and as always, once we're done with a color in a row, we bring that yarn forward. We're going to carry that blue yarn from behind, and we're going to finish out row 7 with 5 single crochets, and I will meet you in the start of row 8. Row 8 begins with a 5 blue, 5 orange, 5 blue. So we'll begin our single crochet stitches here, and I will meet you at that point where we begin to color swap. Stitch in the row, and we're going to go ahead and make sure that we bring the yarn forward, and then of course we're going to start our 5 orange single crochets. Apologies, that beginning part with the swap was not supposed to be fast forward. But we'll go ahead and do again. We're done with orange, so I'm making sure that we don't finish the stitch. We pull it through the front. We're going to cross our hands and get the blue from underneath, and we're going to yarn over and pull through both loops. And then we're just going to finish out the row as normal, 5 single crochets. All right, in row 9, we have 4 blues, 5 oranges, and 6 blues. So we'll go ahead and begin that process. All right, we are on our last stitch of blue here, and what we're going to go ahead and do is we have to carry that orange yarn just slightly. So we are going to go ahead and carry it through 1 stitch, and then we're just going to single crochet through the stitch and that small little mini float here, and we'll do our 5 single crochets. We are going to go ahead and finish our last orange stitch in row 9. So what we're going to go ahead and do is insert our hook into the next stitch. Again, making sure we are not finishing that loop. And then of course we're going to bring that yarn forward since we are done with that. We're going to carry the blue from the back. Again, yarn over, pull through, so we have blue starting on our hook. And we're going to finish out this row with 6 single crochets. All right, we have made it to row 10, halfway through, and we have 6 blues, 6 oranges, and 3 blues. So we'll go ahead and single crochet across the row here. And now I'm on my last stitch of 6. Again, making sure that we bring the yarn forward. I will not stop saying this so that you guys get clean lines. And we're gonna go ahead and pull through with orange and then finish our 6 single crochets here. So I am back, and what I'm going to do for pretty much the rest of this video is just slow down the parts where we're switching colors, because the rest of it is pretty much just single crochet when we're not doing our switches. So we will finish up row 10 and then we will move on to row 11. One of my favorite parts is looking at the right side and seeing the nice clean lines, knowing that you've done a great job. But what we'll go ahead and do is get into row 11, and that's 3 blues, 9 oranges, and 3 blues. And what we're going to go ahead and do is make sure we leave the blue in the back because we want to make sure that our floats stay in one side. If we put it on the right side, then things kind of start looking wonky. So I like leaving the blue behind, but we'll pick it up a little bit later. And we're going to go ahead and begin our 9 single crochets of orange. So we are on the last stitch of orange. What we'll go ahead and do is insert our hook into the stitch, yarn over, and because we are done, of course, bringing it forward, and we're going to carry this blue yarn all the way across this row. So it's going to be our longest float here. And we'll go ahead and do is we're going to carry it all the way through. We're going to go ahead and pull the orange just slightly here, just to keep it nice and snug. And we're going to carry this blue yarn over, pull through both loops. Again, we want to make sure that blue isn't cinched up, but just nice enough where it begins to float. And we'll finish this row out here with our 3 blue single crochets. Row 12 has 3 blues, 9 oranges, and 3 blues. We'll begin our single crochet across the row here. Again, this is pretty much the exact same row as row 11. However, we are now on the wrong side, so you'll be able to see how the yarn gets carried across. But what we'll go ahead and do is I will make sure I slow this one down just so that you can see what I am doing to specifically carry the yarn across. So it's a lot clearer for you all. My goal with this video is to make it as clear as possible so that you guys aren't stumped once you're done creating your lightning bolt. Now we are on the last stitch of the orange, and we're going to go ahead and do is bring the yarn forward since we are done with orange in this row. We're going to carry the blue all the way across. So I kind of do like a X here and kind of cross my yarn. And again, same process as before, pull through, and you want to make sure that you go through both loops, and we'll just finish out the single crochet here with our 3 blues. Alright, so we are getting a nice glance of how our lightning bolt looks. As you can see, we just did the hardest part, which is carrying the longest float in this row. But we'll begin row 13 with 7 blues, 4 oranges, and 4 blues to finish this row. Just a quick reminder here, we are going to go through the orange, but I'm going to leave the orange behind, and whenever I need it, which will be on that 7th stitch, of course not pulling through and putting orange on my hook, is when I will go ahead and carry the orange slightly. So this will be our only time in the tapestry where we will carry the orange and have a orange float. So we're going to go ahead and go through the orange stitches with our 7 here. We're going to make sure that we leave this blue yarn in the back because again, we want to make sure that we keep our floats in the back. And we're going to go ahead and carry the orange yarn into that next stitch. So you see orange is way back there, but we need it now. So we'll go ahead and pull through and finish our row 13 with our 4 orange single crochets and our 4 blue single crochets, switching like normal, again making sure we don't exactly finish that last stitch. And we're going to carry this blue here, but I'm done with the orange, so bringing it to the front, picking up our blue and doing our blue float, yarn over and pull through, and then we'll just finish out with single crochets. As you can see, we have our first and last orange float on the wrong side showing here, but we'll begin row 14 with 4 blues, 5 oranges, and 6 blues. And again, we're going to go ahead and pause, make sure that we bring that yarn forward with blue, again, to make sure the float is going to get carried on the wrong side of the work. We're going to grab our orange and pull through both loops and do our 5 single crochets as normal. Again, slowing it down for you all on these switches so that you can see what I am doing. kind of moving a little bit faster here, and I'm hoping everyone is now comfortable with switching and that they are getting excited about finishing their lightning bolt. 3/4 of the way there, and we begin row 15 with 5 blues, 6 oranges, and 4 blues. Again, this is the exact same process, and for this row, because it is on the right side, we want to make sure that we keep our yarn on the wrong side so that when we do float, everything still looks nice and neat. So you can see here, I am bringing that orange. Now this is one of those rows where we do have to have a mini float with the orange, and you can see that nice little diagonal line. So I do have to go ahead and go through. Again, I am picking up the stitch and that orange mini float here. So this is a little bit of intarsia. And then we're going to go ahead and repeat that process and go with our single crochets across the row. And again, we're going to go ahead and pull through, not finishing the stitch, bring the yarn forward since we're done with orange, pick up the blue from across from behind us here and pull through and finish out the row with our 4 single blue crochets. Row 16 consists of 5 blues, 5 oranges, and 5 blues, and these are all just single crochet across the row. Now, I'm hoping at this point that you all are comfortable with switches and you don't need to keep hearing me say the same thing as always. Now for this particular row, we do have to carry the orange yarn just a little bit because we're not there in terms of kneading it right now. So we're going to go ahead and just put it on top of the stitch. And what I like to do is insert my hook into the stitch, again making sure I'm carrying that small orange as well as the stitch itself, and then just do a single crochet as normal. Now I'm actually at the point where I need orange, so I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to yarn over, pull through, and complete my 5 orange single crochets, and then finish out this row with my 5 blue single crochets. We are on the right side now, and row 17 begins with 4 blues, 6 oranges, and 5 blues. Again, doing this exact same process as always. And in this row, we do have to do a mini float with orange because we are going to be carrying the color earlier. And we're just going to do our 6 single crochets followed by our blue single crochets of 5. We are on our last row of switching colors, and that is row 18 with 6 blues, 5 oranges, and 4 blues. Alright, so for this row, I do have to carry blue through orange, so this is where we consider switching colors a little bit later, and we've done this before, but pretty much we're going to go ahead and put our orange on top of the crochet stitch, and then I'm just going to single crochet as normal, pretty much ignoring the orange until I absolutely need it here. And again, looks like I'll be needing it in this, so I'm going to go ahead and yarn over, pull through, again making sure the blue is on the wrong side, so when we do floats, everything is on one side and everything looks nice and pretty. since we are done with orange for the whole entire tapestry, congrats on making it this far. I love to just snip the orange. It causes a lot less tangles when I don't have that color on my hook and I'm done with it. So don't keep the color if you don't need it. But we're going to go ahead and begin our row 19, which is just very easy. It's our simple 15 blue single crochets. Now, one thing that I love about rows like this, particularly when you're completely done with adding all the colors, is just closing it up. Something about creating a border for what you're working on just like is the cherry on top. So I love doing this row. We'll go ahead and finish row 19 and then we will get into row 20. All right, last row of the tapestry. Congrats on making it this far. We are just doing, again, same as 19, we are doing 15 single crochets across this row. And I'll speed this up because this is the same thing we've been doing. And if you made it this far, you know the drill. All right, you just finished the last stitch of the tapestry. How do you feel? We're gonna go ahead and snip this, and then we're gonna go ahead and grab that yarn and just pull through on the last stitch here so that we can tighten things up. And here comes my favorite part. The lightning bolt is done. I am so proud of you guys. Hopefully this is what yours is looking like. But we're gonna go ahead and just get right into weaving ends. Now, again, this is supposed to be some tutorial. This is just weaving in ends as normal, making sure, and you'll see here a little bit what I'm doing here. Sometimes I go through it once, sometimes I go through it twice, as you can see here. I went through it twice on the blues, and then I just did it once through the oranges. But we'll go ahead and snip and weave in our ends to complete this tapestry. Okay, we are on our last snip. I'm finishing the end, and what we're going to go ahead and do is flip it over, and just like that, you just completed your first tapestry crochet piece of a lightning bolt. How cool does this look? So can you see here, everything looks consistent. The yarn's being carried over beautifully. We have beautiful floats, and that front just looks amazing. So give yourself a round of applause. I am so proud of you. I will never stop saying that. All right, you did it. Yay. You finished your awesome, cool lightning bolt, and I am so proud of you. Tap lightning bolts in the chat if you finished it, you completed it. I am so glad that I was able to teach you all how to do this, and I really hope this opens up your eyes to all sorts of methods when it comes to tapestry crochet. But yeah, that is it. If you guys liked the video, found anything helpful, be sure to like the video and subscribe. I am on my way here trying to grow a community, and I would love for you to be a part of that. With that being said, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Stay blessed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.